Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of JC Radio. This would be football talk number 2. We had some difficulties getting the last one up, and because this is such a time-sensitive kind of material, because, we have to get stuff out before the new week starts, we ended up scrapping it. We just didn't have time to get it up with everything going on. Hopefully we'll have this one up. If not, well, then you'll see us hopefully with number 3. But we're going to be going through football scores. Just real quick, if we've got a little something to say about those games, we'll bring it up. We'll be getting into player injuries, as we have a lot of those this week, and then any other kind of news going on in the NFL. At this moment, obviously, things could come out after we get done recording that won't be in this. If you see something after we've recorded and put it up, let us know so we can look into it and check things out. But getting started here, checking in just on the scores for the week. Thursday night, we had a matchup between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Carolina Panthers. Bucs pulled off that win 20-14. It came down to a last-second fourth down. Panthers tried to convert, failed. So it was a close game, solid game overall. Sunday games, we've got a lot, obviously, because Sunday's the big one.
Sunday, Monday.
Starting out, we have the 49ers and the Bengals. 49ers with a huge win, 41-17. Right now, 49ers looking like they're on a roll. Bengals are still kind of but Niners are looking good. Hopefully they get into a rhythm with Jimmy G again. We had a matchup between the Lions and the Chargers. Lions actually coming out on top with this one. The Chargers falling 13-10 to the Lions. Kind of surprised after the way they played the Colts last week, but it happens. Divisional matchup in the NFC North between the Packers and the Vikings. Packers got off to a hot start, going up 21-0. Wound up winning 21-16, so they didn't do much after their hot start, but they did just enough to hold on. We had a matchup between the Colts and the Titans. The Colts still obviously without Andrew Luck, with him retiring early. Jacoby Brissett said, hey guys, no problem. Got them the win 19-17. Adam Vinatieri, the Colts kicker, though, looking a little rough. We'll be talking about him a little more later with the player news, what's going down with that. A couple other games we had. Obviously, probably the biggest blowout of the week between the Patriots and the bombshell, or I guess dumpster fire of a team with the Dolphins. Patriots winning 43-0. However, don't let that dissuade you, because it was actually a lot tougher game than it looked. 14 of those points came from 2 pick sixes. So before that, the Dolphins defense was doing their best to keep them in the game. Going into halftime, they were only up by 13. It was 13-0 going into the half. Those 2 pick sixes kind of made them run away with it. So it was a tougher game than it appeared to be.
It still didn't look pretty.
No, but that defense tried. Their defense was putting up a fight against them. The offense just had nothing. Getting into another, not necessarily a divisional one, but a matchup between two of the North, East Coast? West Coast? I don't know my coast. There's the only one, the area where there's a bunch of people up north.
West.
Okay.
If you're talking about Seattle.
No, they're the only one up north over there. East Coast, then.
East,
Two
yeah.
northern East Coast teams with the Bills and the Giants.
Okay, I was like, it's either Bills and Giants or Seattle. Yeah.
Bills pulling off a 28-14 win over the Giants. Josh Allen looking like he's got that team rolling right now. See if he can keep that up. We had a matchup between the Seahawks and the Steelers. Seahawks winning 28-26. We've got some news from that game. Was a lot closer than a lot of people thought it might end up with what happened in the end. Well, really not even the end. It was about
It's like third quarter.
third quarter. Okay. Cowboys, my team, getting a big win over the divisional Redskins, winning 31-21. Dak Prescott right now playing with that MVP type of confidence. I'm not saying he's in the front runner for it, but he's got that confidence right now.
Surprised you said that, because I thought he had a really bad first half.
He had like a bad first quarter, but he bounced back like
That's true.
He
They
has
kinda
that
pulled the
confidence.
Chiefs. Yeah, they kind of pulled the Chiefs.
Matchup between the Ravens and the Cardinals. Ravens getting another win, 23-17 this time. While the Cardinals haven't won yet, Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury showing they're not going down without a fight, because this was another one early that it looked like they were pretty much out of, and they stuck with it and almost came back again.
He's a fourth quarter quarterback.
He is. He starts slow and eventually gets there, but that's not a good thing
No,
either.
it's a terrible thing.
But we had another divisional matchup in the AFC South, this time between the Texans and the Jaguars. The Texans pulling off a 1-point win, winning 13-12. Super close game. We've got some news going on with one of the Jags players. Again, we had one in the last episode. Obviously didn't come out, but we'll get into that. Had the final home game on a partial dirt field, with Oakland playing its last game on dirt in Oakland, because by the time they get back to that stadium, it'll be in November, and, well, there'll be no more dirt on that field because the A's will be done for the season. So
I wondered why they kept saying that. I was like, they still play in the same stadium.
They do, but with the A's done, it'll all be grass.
I never put that together
turf.
when I was watching the game.
Yeah. Kansas City coming up with a big divisional win there with the AFC South matchup with the Raiders, 28-10. Started out not hot. Chiefs started out down 10-0. And then Patrick Mahomes comes out in the fourth quarter and throws 4 touchdown passes like it's nothing, with his last 4 passes in the quarter going all for more than 30 yards.
Yeah, I shared a meme to your brother, and I think you, that said, it was Travis Kelce, like, hey, Patrick, let's trick them into thinking they have a chance. And
let's spot them 10 points and then put up 28. Yeah. Had a matchup after that between the Bears and the Broncos. Vic Fangio, currently the Broncos, head coach, defensive coordinator, something with the Broncos.
He's both, I think.
Taking on his former team with the Bears. The Bears pulling off a last-second upset with the win, 16-14. It looked like the Broncos had it, especially with the kicking woes the Bears had last year. Whoever their kicker is this year, Pinheiro, I think is his last name, boots like a 58-yard field goal for the win. Chicago's liking this new kid, so...
Tell you what, that wasn't the most surprising part of that game. Obviously, you guys didn't hear first week's recap, but we hated on Trubisky a whole lot.
I mean, he still didn't look good.
I thought he looked at least 50% better than what his first game was, at least.
I mean, yeah, but he was taking on a defense that I don't know if it's any better than the Packers or not, and still really didn't do much.
I would rate Denver's defense better than the Packers.
I don't know. They're struggling a little bit. They've got Von Miller, but what else do they have right now?
They have a good pass rush.
Yeah, but they don't have that great a secondary after losing both of their key cornerbacks like a year ago.
True. I'm trying to think who's back there now, and I can't think of it.
But yeah, had a rematch of the NFC Championship game between the Saints and the Rams. We've got some news in that game we'll talk about later as well. Rams winning this one 27-9. However, it's partially because the Saints got screwed yet again. If you didn't see the game, the Saints had what should have been a fumble and returned it for a fumble 6. They returned it for a touchdown. And stupidly before that, the refs called it dead because they said, no, it's an incomplete pass, even though the refs have been repeatedly told on a play like that, let it play out and then go back to the review. In the review, it shows he clearly fumbled it, not a forward pass. Should have been a touchdown for the Saints, would have given them momentum. Instead, they get screwed yet again against the Rams again. We've got other news that we'll talk about in that game as well, which could have also been part of the reason the outcome is what it is. Sunday night game, we had a matchup between the Falcons and the Eagles. Falcons pulling off the win, this time 24-20. Last 2 times these teams have met, last 3 times these teams have met, the Eagles have always pulled off the win. Falcons finally said enough is enough. We're winning this battle of the birds. And in our final game of the week last night, Monday night's matchup, we had a matchup between the Browns and the Jets. Browns pulling off the win 23-3. That's your pretty much all your scores for the week. We'll be bringing you those pretty much every week if we're able to get these football talk episodes up. If not, well, then we'll be figuring something else out.
Yeah.
But getting into player injuries, there were a lot this week.
And a lot to key positions, too.
Yeah. We've already mentioned that we had to talk about several of them. First one, since it's the most recent one on my mind, is going to be the Saints-Rams game. Part of the reason that game turned out the way it did was early in the first quarter, I believe even. Drew Brees went to throw a pass. His thumb went straight into Aaron Donald's giant mitts of a hand, and it pretty much tore like something in his thumb.
I'm assuming it tore the ligaments that help you like move your thumb like forward. Like you have that straddle joint right there, and I'm pretty sure he tore that back.
Oh yeah, they showed him like afterwards, and he couldn't even pick up a football. It hurt so bad.
Yeah,
like, he tried just to pick one up and immediately dropped it.
Yeah, like there was no way he was going back in.
Yeah, so he'll be out for what they're saying is probably about 6 weeks. He's getting a second opinion on it. However, I don't think it's going to change anything.
No. But the thing about that game is that they have a starting quarterback, caliber person as their backup.
They
and
do.
He did terrible.
Yeah, we'll see. And it might have just been this week. He might have a bounce back game. He's looked good in the past.
And it's Teddy Bridgewater. If
you don't know, Teddy Bridgewater is their backup. And if for some reason Teddy starts not doing well, they can insert their, I don't know what you call it. Yeah, their utility player and Taysom Hill, who is technically a quarterback. They use him literally in every position imaginable when they feel like it, just because, well, he is who he is.
Yeah, he's literally good at every position.
Yeah. But we also had in that Seahawks-Steelers game, it was closer than what people thought. In about the third quarter, Ben Roethlisberger threw a pass, and you see him kind of pulling at his elbow like, man, this is hurting. Like, I don't know what the heck I did, but that hurt. So he tries to throw another pass. Right after it does the same thing. He's like, man, my elbow's killing me. Apparently, he's now out for the season with what Alex said was Tommy John surgery, basically.
That's what someone equated it to whenever I was watching the TV. It was like Tommy John's what pitchers get.
Okay.
So it's like, okay,
essentially, he
weird.
tore something in his elbow, though.
Right.
Is the easiest way to put that. If you don't know what Tommy John is, basically he just tore the crap out of his elbow and now can't throw a ball without it hurting like a mother effer.
Yeah, and the bad thing about that is that 90% of the time after you have Tommy Johns that you lose like a step in velocity whenever you're throwing the ball.
Yeah, but he doesn't need necessarily velocity in it.
Yeah, that's what they're arguing earlier too. But even you still don't throw right though. Like he's gonna have to change something. And honestly, if I was the Steelers, I would take this time to look at my young team and decide, all right, what's the quarterback of the future? Not necessarily like completely ditch Big Ben, but like start looking forward a little bit.
Yeah. Well, in same team also, running back James Conner got hurt. I don't know what he did.
I don't know what he did either.
I haven't seen any updates on what his injuries. I just know he went out in I think the fourth quarter of that game. So I know he's out for a little bit. If you didn't see before this week, it was after I think we had recorded the last episode. Jets quarterback Sam Darnold is currently out indefinitely because, well, it's not an injury. It's the fact that the dude is sick with mono, and, well, no one knows how long that's going to take to get over.
But don't worry, Jets fans. You have a good back. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
What happened last night?
Backup quarterback Trevor Siemian for the Jets is also out. So you on your third string, dude. So Jets fans, good luck.
Yeah. Which, although this third string dude, he doesn't look bad. He just looks like he was not ready.
Was inexperienced, wasn't prepared, and also, I mean, never taking reps, obviously, with the first string guys. You don't know what their tendencies are.
Right.
But on the positive side, the Jets still have Robbie Anderson and Le'Veon Bell ready to go. So if anyone's going to help this third string dude out, those are your guys.
Yeah, and Le'Veon Bell still did Le'Veon Bell things in that game, even being on the third string quarterback.
Yeah, he always does. It doesn't matter who's playing. He's like, yo, I got this.
Yeah.
Just keep giving me the ball.
And I think he ended up with like 61 receiving yards and 72 rush yards. Like, it was a weird combination.
Trying to think of other injuries right now.
Also, after recording last week, we missed one that Hunter Henry for the Chargers.
Oh, yeah, Hunter Henry's out.
He blew out his knee. Is that what he did?
I don't know what he did.
He did something to his left knee. And then...
if you didn't pay attention before the season started, ever just an old injury at this point, A.J. Green is still rehabbing whatever he did.
There was another injury that I'm missing.
I know. I need to go look at the games again. I know there wasn't anything in the Texans-Jags game because that game was fine.
Nothing in the Chiefs-Raiders.
That game was fine.
We already touched the Saints. Nothing.
Well, old one for the Chiefs was the Tyreek Hill thing.
But he's still rehabbing. It's sternoclavicular joint or what he bruised.
Is that the Hill one?
Yeah.
The Packs-Vikings game was clean. The Colts-Titans was clean. Patriots game was the Patriots game, and I'm not going to talk about it because I hate them. The Bills were fine. The Seahawks and Steelers we talked about. The Cowboys game was fine. If you didn't know from last week, running back Darius Geis is out with a meniscus tear. Not going to go into it because, again, we've tried discussing it in a previous episode. I don't want to delve too deep into some of the old ones, but just some reiterations there. Ravens, Cardinals, I don't think anything happened in. Honestly, we might have hit the major ones.
I guess we did.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought there was one more.
No. If you didn't know already, also, former Eagles quarterback, now Jaguars quarterback, Nick Foles went out week 1 with a broken collarbone. So he's out for like 8 weeks at least. I guess another one from yesterday's game. I don't know how long he'll be out. Browns tight end David Njoku went out Monday night with a concussion.
So 2 weeks.
It could be longer. It depends how long it takes to get over the symptoms with it. It depends how bad the concussion was. I didn't see the play because I was at work, so I don't know what exactly went on.
So it was just a simple crossing pattern. Like, he came from the line of scrimmage and went over, just a simple out route. And Baker Mayfield, held the ball way too long, and then he threw it to him in, double coverage.
Oh, that's never a good thing.
And, just the way that he had to, stretch and get the ball and got tackled. It wasn't helmet to helmet, but...
Okay, so it might be... He might honestly be back this week if it was just a mild concussion.
Yeah, it was just... And, that's the thing, too. If you didn't watch Monday night's game, you look at the score and be like, oh, they just blew them out. Man, the Browns don't look good.
They should. The Browns look good on paper, but for some reason, their chemistry isn't working. No. I don't know if it's because they all... because there was too much hype and they believed in the hype instead of believing, we're still the Browns, we still need to prove it, or what it is. But the Browns need to get back to basics and understand how they play football.
They had so many penalties between the first 2 weeks. Baker Mayfield's holding on to the ball way too long, and I don't know if he's just waiting for those guys to get open. They don't use Nick Chubb, even though he got a touchdown last night, but
they're not using him enough. When you run the ball half the amount that you throw it with a running back like Nick Chubb, you got to get back to playing the basics in football.
Yeah. He should be having a 100-yard game every game almost.
I mean, I get if he's not having it. If you're up against a solid defense, it won't happen.
With the 2 teams they played, he should at least have 100 yards. Maybe not the Titans. That's an argument right there. But
even the Jets have a good defense. They should have just used him more, though. Not with how gassed
they were last night.
The main point is they need to use him more. They should have ran it with him 12 times, and I think one other guy touched it once. And Baker Mayfield threw it 26 times. Yeah. which I get is still not a lot of throwing, but at the same time, when your star running back, a guy who was killing it last year, touches it 12 times all game, that's not good.
No.
You need to give him the ball more. Get back to being an old school ground and pound football team, and that opens up a lot more. That's why they were doing good last year, is because they were running the ball. But in other football news, Jaguars cornerback Jalen Ramsey, who is probably one of the best cornerbacks in the league, if not the best right now, since Richard Sherman and some of them other guys are getting older at this point, has requested a trade from the Jaguars after essentially getting into a fight with his head coach on the sideline.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about this. The team itself, like, give Nick Foles a chance. Like,
Yeah.
I understand
I don't
you're
know.
tired of losing and ready to
Yes,
win,
but
you actually have a team now.
To start this year, they played a team that they're clearly outmatched against in the Chiefs. No defense is going to stop that team.
But they weren't, though. Honestly,
The
until Nick
offense-
Foles
yeah.
went out, they were holding with the Chiefs. Now, that's
The
not to say that
offense
they
was.
would have.
The defense wasn't, which is where he plays at. He didn't like getting blown out again.
Yeah, true.
But there was nothing they could do. There's too many weapons on that team to stop.
Yeah.
So the defense was clearly outmatched in that game. And then against the Texans, you lost by 1 to a divisional opponent. That's a good game. You held them to 13 while you put up 12. That's a solid matchup there. Nothing about that tells me I want out of this. Like, that tells me even with our backup in a divisional game, we held in.
Yeah, but Jalen Ramsey's also been one to run his mouth.
Oh, yeah, he's a hothead.
Yes.
He's one of those
very
guys.
quick to act versus think things through.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if he'll end up getting the trade request or not. Be great to see him go to the Chiefs because, well, they need the help. Oh, in other news also, Dolphins cornerback Minkah Fitzpatrick got traded to the Steelers after his trade request, which kind of sucks because I was hoping he'd come over to the Cowboys. We put up former first-round pick Taco Charlton with maybe something else in the trade, and the Dolphins basically said, no, we want a first-round pick.
Well, they're trying to rebuild. I can understand that.
Yeah. So the Steelers gave up first-round pick to grab Minkah Fitzpatrick. He's with a new team. We'll see what happens with Jalen Ramsey. If they got a first-round pick out of Fitzpatrick, Ramsey's at least like a first and like a fourth at that point.
Yeah, I don't know if the Chiefs would be willing to pay that high for it.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens with him.
And, like, I don't know if the Chiefs want that ego in their locker room either. Like, they've done that before with Peters and Flowers.
But Peters was way worse.
You think so?
He was a bigger hothead in this because Ramsey will run his mouth, but he doesn't get into fights.
That's true.
The problem with Marcus Peters was if he screwed up and was running his mouth, then he got hot-headed and tried hitting people when he shouldn't hit people.
Yeah.
Ramsey is a clean player. He's also a better player than Peters too.
Oh, I don't
because
doubt
Peters
that.
was an opportunistic cornerback.
Using your brother's word right there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what everybody used for that defense at one point was they were opportunistic. But the thing with that was he never went for the tackle. He always went for the pick. And either it worked or he got screwed big time.
Yeah.
Because they weren't equipped to have somebody back him up. Now, with the Rams, he can pull that off and still be okay because they've got phenomenal safeties with the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, Ramsey's way better than that. He doesn't just always go for the pick. He's a much better defender.
Yeah.
Which I think Andy Reid could tone down some of his hot-headedness because he is a little hot-headed, not nearly as bad as Peters, though, and it would work. But I don't know what they're willing to give up for him either.
Honestly,
if they're willing to. They might just look at Steve Spagnuolo's defense and be like, we're going to roll with this for the year, see what happens, unless things go real bad. But right now, it's not.
Unless they're also getting that Super Bowl itch, too, though, because they know they have a team to do it, at least on one side of the ball.
Yeah. So, I don't know what will happen with Ramsey. If something happens before this week's stuff starts, obviously we won't let you know until we get another episode
Facebook
recorded.
Page. We'll share it.
Yeah. We'll try and keep stuff updated on the social media pages. But if you didn't already know because last episode didn't get put out, and if you haven't been paying attention, just to reiterate, the biggest news we've had so far since the season started was a case against Antonio Brown. Oh, I'm not going to get too far into it because we've already talked about it, and I don't want to delve too deep, especially because it is super sensitive. It's a super sensitive subject. But essentially, what's going on with Brown is last week he had 3 cases of sexual assault come up against him. 1 got turned into a rape charge. The 3 cases were, first, he exposed himself and then kissed her without consent, and these are all against his former personal trainer. The second one...
And ex-girlfriend.
Oh, did they date?
Apparently, they were dating at one point.
Okay.
But I don't know when that timeline fits.
We're not going to delve into that. I'm just trying to reiterate things. We already talked in extensive length about it. I might try and get John to just put that chunk up for those that want to know more with it. But first case was the exposing an unconsented kiss. Second one is that, again, in some sort of week-to-week rehab that all the football guys do, he started masturbating behind her and ejaculated on her. And third was that after a night out on the town, whether it was for dinner, whether something else was going on, I don't know, she went back to his place, grabbed a quick bite to eat, used the bathroom, and he forced her onto the bed and raped her. That's the 3 charges there. Not going to delve too deep into that because, again, we've already done it. But that's just to reiterate what happened there. Apparently, and I guess yesterday, there was another accusation of sexual misconduct that came out against him.
Which, did you read it? I didn't have a chance to read it.
I haven't read on it, which is why I'm not going to dive into it. I just saw that there was basically another woman that came out and accused him of some sort of sexual misconduct as well. So right now, things not looking great for Antonio Brown.
Who's to say they're not? Because no one said anything yet.
Yeah.
Which great, she just interviewed yesterday.
Yeah, the first case, his former personal trainer just talked with the NFL on Monday, September 16th. So yesterday, as of recording this, we'll see what comes of the case. We'll keep you updated on that. But I just wanted to reiterate for those that might have not known that was going on. If you didn't, then you probably aren't a big football fan anyways. But just to reiterate, he's not having such a hot time right now.
No. Although he did have a good game.
It was an okay game. He started out good and then literally didn't do a thing after.
Well, they kind of didn't need to.
I mean, the team as a whole wasn't looking great for a while. He put up a touchdown, and then after that, he caught Brady's first 3 passes and then caught a 4th for a touchdown and was silent after that.
Yeah.
So he was good in the first quarter and then nothing.
Oh yeah.
But it's pretty much, I don't know of anything else that happened this week other than, the people we talked about getting hurt, Jalen Ramsey thing.
Pretty much the injury report, the news reports. I mean, it's pretty much it.
You could look at who you want for what's going on in each team-wise, I guess. If you pay attention, you can come up with your own theories on who's looking what way, how things are looking for each team. I guess a little bit of fantasy news. If you got anybody on the Chiefs, you might as well put them in a flex option because that team, you never know who's going to go off.
I played 3 of them in one league.
Sammy Watkins, week 1, went off, so everyone's like, oh, I got to grab Sammy Watkins if somebody doesn't have him already so I can start him. Well, then this week he didn't do a whole lot, but Demarcus Robinson put up huge numbers, so you don't know who.
And Travis Kelce.
Kelce put up good as well, but he's at the tight end spot, and if you need a tight end, you probably already have him.
That's true, too.
I'm talking receivers, running backs.
Hardman had a good game. I think he had a touchdown. And
he had a decent game. If you play in fantasy and you have anyone on the Chiefs that's starting the game, just throw them in because you don't know which one's going to do what. That team's got too many weapons to be this is the guy that's going to go off. No. Nobody freaking knows. Just pick somebody and throw them in.
You're playing Russian roulette with the Chiefs every week.
Yeah. For the tight end position as well, TJ Hawkinson looked great week 1. Looked like he was a must start. Didn't look so hot week 2, so temper expectations on him. I have him on my bench. I kept him on my bench for that reason. I was like, it was one game as a rookie. We'll see what happens.
Kudos for everyone who decided to pick up Jason Witten as well.
Yeah, Witten's looking good so far to start the season. Has 2 touchdowns in 2 games. Props to Witten for coming back, not losing a step. Zeke's getting back in the form, but again, if you're in fantasy, you probably already drafted Zeke because let's be real here, most people did.
Oh, yeah. And kudos to whoever decided to pick up a Raven this year, like Lamar Jackson,
Yeah.
with how bad he looked last year.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have thought that. Although this week I would not play anybody on the Ravens.
Who they up against?
Chiefs.
I wouldn't play their defense, but their offense you could still put someone in for.
I take that back.
It was a close game.
I would play wide
last year.
receivers over running backs for sure.
I don't know. Mark Ingram is still good.
Yeah, but the Chiefs' defense has been able to stop the run so far versus.
I don't know. That Oakland dude almost had 100 yards. He was 1 yard short of a 100-yard game.
But he didn't get 100.
Well, he had it and then lost it. Because he was over that 100-yard mark, and they ran it again, and he lost, I think 2 or 3 yards, so it put him 1 yard under. But either way, I mean, still being that close to the 100-yard mark means he had a solid game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could start someone on the Ravens offense. Don't start that defense. I was stupid. I knew I shouldn't started my defense, the Jaguars against the Chiefs week 1. Didn't have backup, so I was like, screw it, we're going to roll with it. Hopefully they just don't get, completely screwed, and that's exactly what happened. So, keep an eye out on all your fantasy stuff. I mean, if you're playing fantasy football, you probably already checked that stuff anyways. But,
Any waiver pickups this week?
I don't have anyone to grab, dude. There's no one that's really worth it right now. I've kept an eye on a couple running backs. One of them, week 1, didn't look good, but looked good this week. One of the other guys, I think, is questionable right now, so there's no one I'm really looking to grab. I'm just kind of rolling with my team and seeing what happens.
So, in my pay league, I went up against a guy who had Drew Brees.
Yeah, I went up against you in our league, and you had Drew Brees.
Yeah, but guess who his backup is versus my backup?
No idea.
Just by an off chance, who do you, just guess?
This backup?
Yes, this is a bad thing.
Like a bad backup?
Yep.
Are they currently out?
Now they are.
Trevor Siemian?
His backup was Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh. So it wasn't like you had a bad one. It's just really bad luck that both your quarterbacks went out in the same week.
Yeah, and I got a text message late last night that said, looking for trade options, go.
I mean, keep Drew Brees on the bench. They said he'll be back after a couple weeks. Ben's out for the season. Drew should be back after a couple weeks as long as his thumb is able to, grip the ball fine.
Right.
So, I mean, I'd keep him on your bench. Find somebody who's an okay back. I mean, shoot, he could roll with Teddy for a week or 2 and see what happens.
I don't necessarily go with Teddy. I would pick... Honestly, I would do Matt Stafford. Their schedule gets so... I'm pretty sure, lightens up a lot.
Does it?
I'm pretty sure.
Well,
Matt
either
Stafford
way.
would be favorable, or Deshaun Watson, if he's still available.
If he's available, then your all's league was dumb. I would have had him as a starter
I'm pretty
already.
Sure he's not, but
yeah.
Or honestly, Case Keenum, dude's throwing the rock.
Yeah, Case Keenum wouldn't be a bad option, especially now having AP in the backfield since Geis went out. I think AP was the better option anyways because he was the only reason that offense was good last year.
Yeah, I don't know why they're not going with him. It just seems like they're trying everything possible to not have to rely on AP.
Even though they signed him to a contract.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of weird what's going on there. I can't explain the Redskins, but I don't really have any.
I just don't think Gruden likes him, and that's why.
I don't have any other news for this week that's really important enough to talk about. You got anything else, Alex?
I think the game of the week's going to be that Chiefs-Ravens game.
I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Definitely going to be the most exciting, I think.
It could be. We'll see. I don't know. I'm still not a believer in Lamar Jackson. He's gone up against two crappy defenses. Whoop-de-doo. You played the Dolphins and the Cardinals. Oh, boy. That really tested if he was a good quarterback.
Yeah, but they thumped him, though. That's the thing.
Everybody's thumping the Dolphins.
Not everybody's thumping the
The Cardinals. That's because Matthew Stafford and them somehow lost what they were doing.
That's true.
And the Cardinals somehow keep not giving up.
They like that fourth quarter comeback.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can't say he's still look good. I mean, when your quarterback throws for 250 and runs for 120, that to me still spells that he likes to run it more than he likes to throw it.
But when he throws it, he looks good, though. Last year, he didn't look good.
He's looking better, but wait until he goes up a bit against a good defense, too.
Well, right now, the numbers aren't lying. He's shown that he's improved a lot.
Oh, yeah, but again, that's against like two of the crappiest defenses in the league right now.
That is true.
I can't even say the Chiefs will give him a great test because, I mean, the Jags kept up in Oakland as well. Oakland.
Well, the Jags kept up.
They let Minshew complete 12 straight.
Well, how did he look? I didn't get to watch the Jags game this week. How did he look?
I don't know. I mean, it was a divisional game. It was going to be tough no matter what at that point.
Well, it was a 1-point game, so...
Yeah. It's not like Deshaun or Minshew looked great in it, but neither one looked like god-awful.
But he showed that he could stick with it, though.
Yeah. But anyways...
Honestly, that's probably not a bad pickup either, if their schedule's favorable.
Said this a couple times. This time, I mean it. I'm out of information. I'm done talking. I don't got anything else for this week. We'll be back next week with more updates on the football world. We might do stuff with other sports, but we'll have to have guests for that because outside of football and like hockey, I don't pay attention to the NBA or the MLB. So, I can't do much with you for that. But this is JC Radio and Football Talk signing out.
Peace.